In the United States of America, a land founded on the promise of liberty and justice for all, a new battle has emerged. Not against foreign foes, but against a power within the growing dominance of billionaire wealth and corporate oligarchy, which threatens the very foundations of our democracy. At the center of this fight stands Bernie Sanders, Vermont's independent-turned-progressive voice, rallying Americans from sea to shining sea. With his Fighting Oligarchy tour sweeping the nation, Sanders has reignited a movement, a call to arms for working men and women, young and old, to reclaim America's promise. This is not just politics, this is patriotism in action, demanding that the wealthiest among us do not steer our destiny, but that the people do. The oligarchy threat. For decades, America prided itself on being a land of equal opportunity, a meritocratic powerhouse. Yet in recent years, that ideal has dimmed under the glare of unchecked corporate influence and towering billionaire power. Sanders warns that the current campaign finance system is corrupt. Underline the word corrupt. He argues that when billionaires buy politicians, when tax law bends to the wealthy, when average Americans feel left behind, our democracy is at risk. His tour frames this not as gloom, but as a challenge worthy of American grit, a struggle to restore power to Main Street rather than Wall Street. The tour begins. Fighting Oligarchy hits the road. Beginning in February 2025, Sanders launched his tour from Omaha, Nebraska, then roared into Iowa, Wisconsin, California, Michigan, and beyond. In Portland, Maine, for example, he addressed a crowd thousands strong. "Why do we have an economy that only works for the people on top?" he asked. Young and old responded, Independent, Democrat, Republican. This was no typical partisan rally. This was America united in a common purpose, demanding an economy and democracy that serve everyone. Sanders stands here as a patriot of the people, not of the power brokers. The issues at stake: jobs, justice, and democracy. What exactly is on the line? On the economic front, manufacturing revival, living wages, and real jobs for working Americans. On the civic front, campaign finance reform, and democracy restored to its rightful owners, the people. Sanders calls for healthcare as a human right, tuition-free higher education, and affordable childcare for every family struggling to make ends meet. These goals are not radical in Sanders' eyes. They are the unfinished promises of the American dream. To him, patriotism means fighting for the working nurse in Ohio, the teacher in Kansas, the factory worker in Detroit, and the farmer in Iowa. It means an America where opportunity is earned, not inherited. He also pushes to strengthen unions, end corporate tax loopholes, and reinvest in domestic industries so that American-made once again means world-class quality. His plan envisions a future where American labor and innovation power the nation forward, not corporate greed or offshore interests. When the few hoard the wealth while the many struggles, the fabric of democracy frays. Sanders argues that to defend America's greatness, the country must invest in its people, its most patriotic resource. Unexpected alliances and cross-cutting support. What's striking about Sanders' Fight Oligarchy tour isn't just its energy, it's the unusual mix of Americans showing up to cheer him on. In an era of political division, Sanders is drawing crowds that defy party lines. Union workers and small-town farmers, climate activists and veterans, lifelong Democrats, and even disillusioned conservatives. They may not agree on everything, but they share a common frustration, that the system has been rigged for the wealthy and powerful, while ordinary Americans are left behind. At town halls and rallies, truck drivers stand beside college students, while factory workers nod in agreement with tech professionals. It's a coalition built not on ideology, but on shared struggle. Sanders' critique of corporate greed, pharmaceutical monopolies, and Wall Street dominance resonates far beyond the progressive base. Many working-class Republicans, once skeptical of any socialist label, are beginning to see his fight less as left versus right, and more as the people versus the powerful. This unlikely unity hints at a rare moment in American politics, a movement that transcends partisan boundaries. Sanders' call to reclaim democracy from billionaires taps into a universal American instinct, the belief that no one is above the law and that freedom means more than the freedom to profit. As populist energy grows on both sides, Sanders' message finds common ground where few others have, in the simple patriotic conviction that America belongs to its citizens. not its corporations. In this fragile moment, Sanders' ability to connect farmers in Iowa, teachers in Texas, and nurses in Pennsylvania represents something extraordinary: the potential birth of a new kind of American solidarity, one that reaches across divides to remind us that the fight for fairness is, at its core, the fight for our nation's soul. Spotlight moments and media impact. From surprise appearances at the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival to massive rallies in Denver, Sanders has mastered the art of capturing attention while keeping the focus on America's working class. At Coachella, he challenged young audiences to lead in the fight for climate, equality, and democracy, blending music and activism in a uniquely American celebration of civic engagement. Media coverage has amplified his reach, highlighting the unprecedented size and enthusiasm of his crowds. Reports note that many attendees were first-time supporters, drawn not by partisanship but by a desire to see an America that works for everyone. Every viral clip, from fiery speeches to impromptu chants of "Fight the Oligarchy," strengthens Sanders' narrative and injects urgency into the national conversation. In a media landscape often criticized for favoring the elite, Sanders has turned attention into a tool for empowerment. His spotlight moments are more than spectacle. They are evidence of a populist movement growing in real time, reminding Americans that political engagement is not only necessary, but also patriotic. Through strategic media engagement and the sheer energy of his tour, Sanders demonstrates that the fight for justice and opportunity can dominate headlines while inspiring millions to action. The pushback and the realism of the fight. No revolution is without challenges. Critics point out contradictions, like Sanders' use of a private jet for parts of the tour, which he defended by citing logistics and urgency. Others warn that shifting progressive energy into practical policy is hard work. Yet Sanders does not shrink from the fight. He recognizes that the path forward demands not only speeches and rallies, but building infrastructure, training young leaders, supporting progressive candidates, and organizing locally. True patriotism, he argues, is doing the work, laying bricks behind the banner. What's next for America? Looking ahead, the Fighting Oligarchy tour is just the beginning. Sanders has made clear his goal: empower a new generation of leaders, working-class heroes, and community organizers to step into power. The questions now are ours as citizens. Will we rise? Will we engage? Will we demand that our democracy reflect our values, not simply the riches of a few? Sanders may have launched this fight, but America must sustain it. The revolution he speaks of is not bombs or barricades. It is ballots and organizing, ideas and movement, community and country. Brothers and sisters, patriots of this great land, this is our moment. Senator Bernie Sanders' battle against the billionaire-class oligarchs is not left or right. It is right and wrong. It is about ensuring that America, the shining city on a hill, remains a place where every citizen has a voice, every worker has dignity, and every child born here has a chance. As Sanders travels, rallies, and speaks of a new America, we stand beside him, not merely as spectators, but as participants in the most American of enterprises, self-government. The billionaires may have their castles, but this nation has its people. And when the people rise, the promise of the United States is renewed. Stand tall, stand proud, fight on.